All right, I want to show you a really quick and good example of a couple things not to do when writing a contract. This is an offer I received on one of my listings. The listing price is $259,000. The offer came in at $240,000. I'm not doing this explanation for the offer price. It is low, but that's something we can deal with. I want to point out some other things this agent did that I see agents do all the time, and this is not the best way to write an offer. Okay, first things first, the EMD of $1,000. That's not even 1%. That's a counterback term for my seller for sure. We're never going to accept a contract for $240,000 especially with, I'll show you, where is it? It might be the next page here. With the buyer's financing. Okay, it doesn't say it here, but it's getting conventional. He's putting 80, okay, here it is right here, 80%. So he's putting 20% down. So it's putting 20% down on $240,000 purchase. They can put more EMD than $1,000. So number one, I would never ever put $1,000 EMD if I'm really serious about trying to get a seller to accept an offer, especially a low offer. I can tell you for a fact, the higher the EMD, the better your offer is going to look. Especially when it comes to any corporate listings, bank foreclosures, higher EMD is always one of the trump factors. The more EMD, the better. But $1,000, it just makes the offer look bad. So I got two things I'm hitting the seller up with right off the bat, the first page of the contract, which is going to start causing negativity in their mind. Low price and weak EMD. Okay, so let's move on to, let me show you one quick thing. Right here, the agent didn't put any time for acceptance. Now, I'm not a believer of giving somebody 1 day or 2 days or whatever like that. I mean, I know agents do that and they call me up and say, hey, we had an acceptance period of yesterday at 5 o'clock. Corporate sellers don't care. They're never going to look at that. I tell most of my retail sellers, I mean, yes, officially the contract's null and void if you don't make that time frame. But what this agent has done, they left it open-ended. This is something you don't want to do. You at least want to put, worst case scenario, put a week out. Just leave it where the contract will officially be null and void if no response. But putting the 1 day or next day by 5 p.m. or that kind of stuff, a lot of times that's going to cause a lot of headache and can just cause more aggravation than anything. But pay attention. Put some date in for your time of acceptance. Don't leave it blank. Okay, so this was conventional financing. May not assign. That's all good. Okay, section 9. I like how this agent did this. They put see paragraph 20 for all the repair items and closing costs, which makes it really simple. So I'm expecting to see some stuff in section 20, right? They have the buyer paying the home warranty. Seller right here is paying closing. So I mean, seller's paying it, my client's paying it. We get to dictate and choose closer, title company, which is great. Okay. Now here, your inspection period. Of course, his agent left it blank. Most agents leave this blank. I think that's a huge mistake. This looks a lot better to a seller if there's a date in here. I never allow more than 10 days. There's no reason to go past 10 days unless there is a very, very, very good and valid explanation. And that does happen. You might have buyers that are out of town. They can only get here for the weekend. They can only set it up for select days. Then, I work with them. But if that's blank on one of my contracts, that's a counter item right there. We're going to counter that back to 10 days. I think if you're a buyer and you have a serious client, limiting these days of repairs is going to make the contract look that much better. It looks better to let them see and have an agent point out, well, the inspection period defaults at 15 days, but the agent put in 10. That's just a positive. So it's something that you should watch and consider doing on your offers. Don't leave it blank unless you have to. If you're representing a seller, remember, accepting that gives them 15 days, which is a long time if they're serious buyers. There's really nothing else in here. Okay, here's what I want to point out. Section 20. This is an offer to purchase contingent upon. So once again, this agent is spelling out everything that's already in the contract basically. Their first item, the buyer qualifying for an 80% conventional loan and the home appraising for purchase price. Folks, that's already in the contract. It's contingent upon the buyer's financing. Okay, you do not need to put that in again. Number 2, the buyer approving the results of the home inspection. Once again, this is covered under the home inspection contingency. There's no reason to put this, to state this. So this is stating this twice for the sellers. Number 3, the seller to pay realtor fee, document the deed, and all title insurance. Now, I wouldn't include the realtor fee. We all know how the realtor fee gets paid. The realtor fee gets paid by the broker, the selling broker. That's who pays the fee. So I would never put that in there. It just looks bad, and all it starts doing in a seller's mind, they just start putting dollar, sign and amounts on top of what's already in their mind. That's just not a good way to present it. Number 4, the seller limits any repairs to $500. That's one of the only things in this contract that should be there. I would have that, and if you really wanted to, I would have, the seller to pay deed, doc, and all title insurance, taxes, that stuff. That's perfect. That means the buyer's paying all their closing costs. But the whole point is that you do not want to keep reiterating this stuff to a seller. And this is what I call a dirty contract, because you've put this in there twice. You do not need that info in the contract. And I'll tell you, this really is really important that a lot of agents don't realize. The cleaner you keep that contract, the better chances you have of getting your offer accepted. The dirtier it is, you're going to get counters and rejections. It happens with the bank foreclosures every day. If you do not keep the contract clean as possible, it's going to give them more reasons to counter. The more reasons you give a seller to counter, the more reasons and more percentages you have of not getting that offer accepted and your buyer not getting that house. If you have any questions, just hit me up. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.